Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. If you're new here and you've stumbled across this video, I really hope it is a sign. So do please sit down, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee. I've got a cup of fresh hot ginger tea today. I want to get started and talk about this image and this perception of instant success and why it doesn't necessarily mean that you are successful. And the reason I want to talk about this today is because I recently shared some stories over on my Instagram, and I will make sure I'll pop my Instagram on screen for you guys if you want to check it out. But I shared some stories about some recent changes in my life and just how my life was beginning to shift and evolve with sort of new work and going from a period of time where my career felt so empty and just lacking in growth. I really didn't see the growth happening before me, and I kind of want to talk about it today. Well, I am talking about it today because I think it's so true societally to look at our successes and to look at the way we perceive how things should change in our life or how quickly we should see results. And the reason that this is so important is because things like social media give this false perception of a time scale, and they don't really show you how long somebody has been doing something. Also as well, in our own heads, we can think about something, have a goal in mind and want the outcome so fast and so instantaneously that we forget that it's a process, and maybe it's not the right time for us, or we need to endure certain things, certain circumstances, meet certain people in our lives in order to lead us to that outcome. And it's not to say that that outcome isn't achievable, it's just not achievable for us right in this current moment. Everything is about the journey. All the things that we want to master in life and overcome or achieve, they all stem from the journey, and there is no way you can say to yourself that having something with the click of a finger would be as satisfying as working towards something and growing and actually actualizing a journey and then achieving the outcome. And I know sometimes that's hard to not just comprehend but believe in yourself, because there's some things in life that I would just say, please can I click my fingers and have this thing in my life, things that I desire so badly. But I know if that was to come about, then I wouldn't have ventured and journeyed down different paths in life. I wouldn't have traveled to places, I wouldn't have journeyed in a different way. And a really good example of this, and just a way to kind of anecdotally talk to you guys today, is about my career, because there has been such a period of stillness, not just with the pandemic, not just with COVID, not just with the changes in which we're traveling. It's really about so much more than that, and there are things and factors that come into play, like the pandemic, external things that we can't control, but also things that you'd think in your mind would be things that you could control, like the amount of applications you apply to for a job, or the amount of times you reach out and pitch out to someone and you say, hey, this is what I can do, hire me. And it can be really easy to almost blame yourself and think, well, I'm doing all these things and still nothing is happening, and still there is no movement, no growth, no change in my life. And that is where this idea of divine timing comes in. Now, divine timing in conjunction with understanding patience and being a patient person. I am not a patient person, and it's something that I've really had to master over the years. So we are not in this alone, but patience, divine timing, understanding when things are being shown to you almost like signs, and not seeing it as a moment and a point in time to feel the feeling of jealousy, or like, why is that happening to that person and not me? Understanding that all these things are signs, all these things are signs to point you in the right direction, to enable you to believe that it is achievable and attainable. And then also accepting this idea that sometimes fear is the thing that is making us rush. The fear of not only the unknown, but of also the feeling and the fear of now, what now means to you. And it's about rewriting all these things, rewriting what fear is now, and also like what now is. And I know it sounds so crazy and almost really hard to wrap your head around, and even as I'm saying it, I'm kind of confusing myself, because it's a real like tangent spinner. Like I'll go and talk and delve into one area and then it will lead me down this area. It's because it's so heavily interlinked and all part of the process and the journey that I can't just tell you to go and do one thing or work on one thing. You have to really kind of work on it together. So it's just about understanding that things in your life are going to happen when they need to happen, and this isn't about necessarily believing in fate or believing in a predestined or predetermined outcome. It's about understanding why you're here on this earth and what it is that you're here to do and achieve and do with your life. Now, a really good example of the importance of patience and the importance of understanding and interpreting the journey as this grand like voyage to the final destination is to think about self-help books. Now, have you ever read a self-help book that starts with, I had this idea and then suddenly I made it happen, the end, here I am, I'm a millionaire? Like, no, that would be a really dreadful, dull book. Like, I wouldn't pick it up, I wouldn't read it. It would probably be a pamphlet, it wouldn't even be a book. And what would you learn and gain from it? Pretty much nothing. So see your life as a self-help book. What would you be telling someone in the future? And you can really play on this and use it to your advantage and think about, okay, what things have happened to me in the past that have led me here? So the first thing that I want you to do is get a piece of paper and I want you to write down all the momentous occasions or the significant parts of your life. Imagine you're kind of doing a timeline and write it out. Doesn't have to be necessarily in amazing chronological order, but if you can keep it to that, then that will kind of help you and maybe give you a bit of an easier breakdown of how you got to where you are now, and start with that. Really start mapping out your journey and the things that you've overcome. Maybe it's obstacles, maybe you've moved country, maybe you've changed jobs at a certain age, maybe you didn't do university and you chose to start a full-time job instead of go to uni. Like, all these things are part of your journey, and I want you to really break down what these things, each of them, what they've taught you, not only about yourself but about life in general, lessons you've learned, that type of thing. And then I want you to think about your outcome, your end goal. Now, there can be a real big distance between where you are now and your end goal, and that's totally fine because we've got life to live. We've got things we need to be doing and things we need to be achieving. But what I want you to do is break down those things and think about the jump from where you are now to your final goal. And that could possibly bring up feelings of fear, it could bring up feelings of excitement, of, oh my gosh, there's actually so much I need to do and I want to do before I get to this level. Like, maybe your idea of your goal, your outcome, is to be married with kids and be living somewhere specific and have a house. Like, those things are all responsibilities, and to have an idea of the goal in mind is going to really help you break down the steps before, because maybe you'll want to do a bit more traveling, maybe you'll want to move to another country on your own, or start your own business before you have a family. Like, all these things are the gap fillers, and that is going to really help you understand and get over this fear that the now is a bad thing. Because I do it all the time. I can be sitting, I could be scrolling on Instagram and I could be thinking, ugh, like, I'm going to use myself as an example here, and I'm really going to dig out some shadow work and give you the hard, honest, like, truth of it. Sometimes I sit here and I go, wow, I'm 23, I'm 24 next month, and I'm still living with my parents. I'm still driving my first car. Granted, I love it, it's such a great car, but I'm still driving my first car that I ever had. I am single. I have not been able to travel in the last year and a half. Like, all these things feel so frustrating and so stagnant, and maybe even kind of, let's think about some career things as well. I've had career things, not having stable income each month because of the pandemic, and not being able to necessarily get a job. It was almost like I was applying for jobs and I knew I didn't want any of them. So I was putting that frequency out. I was putting this frequency out of, ugh, I'll apply, but I don't want it because actually I want to be doing this. And the whole time I was wasting my time because I was putting this like half-assed energy into applying for things I didn't want to do and I knew weren't going to be for me. But yeah, I was still out there, you know, sending off CVs. It's a great experience, yes, but every single time I'd get a rejection, and it was like the universe was telling me, Alice, if this is what you want, if this is the end goal, this is what you need to be working on. Like, why are you sort of pretending to care over here? Like, focus on that instead of that. Like, what are you doing? And I've done so many things, and I mentioned it in my stories, and talked about like asking the universe for signs, and looking for spiritual guidance, oracle cards. Like, it's crazy how many times I've had these insane, intense dreams with so much prolific meaning and symbolism, and just noting all those things down. Like, for me, I've been told by a number of mediums, but I already knew it before, like, I see things in my sleep. That is where I'm most awake, like third eye awake and spiritually awake. In my sleep, I can tap into energies, I can access my spirit guides, I can talk and communicate with almost like my future and past self. I can really understand things that in my waking life I might kind of push away or push to the side. So everyone's going to be different. You might find that meditation really brings out answers, and you suddenly see all these things that enlighten you or give you specific answers to questions that you have. It's all about finding where suits you best. Like, some people, it might be like immersion in water. I know, as a water baby, swimming in the ocean, it's something that I've not done for so long, but when I used to swim in the ocean, all these things would just flood to me. Like, literally the symbolism of water, being like surrounded by ideas and emotion and just all these different feelings. Like, you need to find the place that brings out those things. Maybe you might be watching this and you're not spiritual at all. Like, find something that works for you. It could just be like when you go for a walk, all these ideas flood to you, and you understand what it is that is part of your journey, or like things that you know you need to do to achieve your final goal. So just kind of consider all those things, and don't stress the small stuff. Like, as easy as that is to say, and like, don't get me wrong, I have like 100 different midlife crises, or nearly a quarter life crisis. I'm not far off 25, guys. Quarter life crisis. It's really easy to kind of get yourself into this like panic and this like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of it, I can't change my life is like this forever, you know, it's always going to be this way. But actually, what the universe is telling you about right now is you need your feet grounding. Like, Alice, put your feet on the ground, feel the earth, like, feel now. Because you're worrying about the past, which I do that a lot, and you're worrying about the future, and like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to achieve. I would love to be in a loving relationship, I'd love to be, you know, married with kids eventually, blah blah blah. Like, all these little things that just overwhelm you in the present moment and totally distract you from the signs, the immediate signs. And another thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this idea of change, and where change actually stems from. In terms of success, not just career, it could be your body, it could be how you view yourself, all these different things. Like, the place you're going to find change is usually wrapped around a lot of distractions, or things that are going to almost trigger you in a way, or like trigger shadow sides of yourself, so areas that you need to fix. And that is the point of this journey. Like, for example, you might have a real issue with money, and money might literally make you feel like the worst person in the world, but yet you need it to survive, you need it to have fun and thrive. But you're still believing this horrible feeling of, ugh, money, like, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to discuss it, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to ask for what I deserve. And using that and seeing, right, that is a fear, that's a shadow area of my life, jumping in head first and accessing it, and not feeling as though it's something that I need to turn a blind eye to. Perhaps the thing that you want to achieve is wrapped around a discussion about money. Perhaps it's talking to a financial advisor, or a friend who's really good with money. Like, having those like almost awkward conversations could actually lead you to the next phase and the growth phase of your life. So sometimes the things that you really need to change in your life are wrapped around things that you're trying to almost like avoid. So think about that, and don't be scared of it. It's so easy to almost stay stagnant because you're fearful. You're almost fearful of being still but also moving forward. It's like you're between a rock and a hard place. It's like you've just got to make the first move ultimately, and accept that your journey is going to be your journey. So that is kind of what I want this video to be about, and I want to talk to you openly and just have a free-flowing conversation. Like, I don't think I'm going to really edit this much, it's just like me sort of chatting about it. But I want you guys to know that this idea that instant success means success is rubbish. Like, instant success is great, and you might have opportunities where you'll feel this feeling of instant success, but actually you've been doing all this work prior to the instant flick and the instant change. So give yourself credit, but also don't believe this hype that, you know, you can have something instantly. Like, you can, and I think manifestation and law of attraction, there are things that you can manifest in your life, but don't believe this idea that people on social media platforms and things like TikTok, that you can kind of like suddenly have a lifestyle or like suddenly have change in your life. Like, you really need to be on like a healed frequency, and also being at this level of acceptance and readiness for the next phase in order to make that jump. Sometimes you're just seeing someone's like final healed process and then them moving on to this next step, and it almost looks really fast, but actually you're not seeing the full bigger picture. So just bear that all in mind. Like, don't ever think that because somebody has achieved something or suddenly got something in their life that it means that it was with a flick of a switch. Like, you don't know what they're doing behind closed doors, you don't know what shadow work they're doing, whether they're manifesting, whether they're seeing a therapist, whether they're working on themselves, changing their career, like working on their diet and their health, and, you know, exercising 5 days a week, and their body suddenly changed. Like, think about the bigger picture. And also, if anybody tries to tell you or say, oh my gosh, I thought you were trying to like manifest that thing, I thought you were trying to attract that thing, why hasn't it come into your life? Like, manifestation isn't working, is it? It's not real. It's not real because it hasn't happened like instantly. Oh my gosh, these people need to bore off. They are so low vibrational and jealous and just ugh, no thank you. These people don't know what your path is. They don't know your journey. They don't know the things you need to do first before you're going to get your goal, you achieve your thing, or manifest that person into your life. Like, honey, they don't know anything about your journey. So forget about those people. Say, I know what I'm manifesting for, I know what I need to do, I know where I need to go first before I get that goal. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. I'm getting so sassy with my hands right now, but I feel like it's a really important one, and I've had a lot of DMs about it and a lot of conversations, and things have been said to me before, so it's nothing new, guys. It does happen. If people don't understand that sometimes things don't happen instantly, it's not because they're not going to happen, it's just because you need to do things first, you need to achieve things first, you need to maybe feel that feeling of like possible failure or not hearing back or rejection in order to know and feel determined. Like, sometimes having 10 no's from jobs and then suddenly getting that acceptance, it's this feeling of, is this really what I want? And if it is, if it's like a burning fire and desire in your body, if it's like, oh my gosh, I can't live a day without doing this thing, then that is a sign. That is like the universe saying, okay, well, I wanted to take it all away from you, I'll give it to you now because I know how much you want it. Like, think about those things. And don't ever fret about the journey. Like, the journey is going to be what it is. You can't necessarily control how long or short it's going to be. Like, obviously work on your affirmations, work on feeling and being your best self, be as kind as you can, give out good energy. Like, don't be bitter about it, but just don't forget about the fact that it's going to be your journey and your adventure, and nobody else can take that away from you. So that's the point of today's video. I really hope this has been beneficial and enlightening. Sound off in the comments if you want me to do more things like this. I love chatting with a cup of tea. I also used my sunflower mug today because I look for sunflowers. It's my sign for a specific thing that I'm manifesting. So I don't know if anybody here today has the same thing, but if you are trying to see a sign of a sunflower, then I hope this is your sign and it's a positive one. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Let me know if there's any specific topics that you want me to cover for future videos, and please do give this video a like and subscribe if you're new. Once again, guys, stay positive, stay high vibe, like, don't let anybody affect you. I know that's easier said than done, but I believe in you. You can do this, and anything you put your mind to, if it's a real goal that you want so bad, I know you can achieve it. Till next time guys, stay sweet.